G'day folks, Scott here. Today we are reviewing Psycho. So we just got back from a retro screening at the theatre for Psycho. This is Guy, this is Darren, and again we're going to do another group review. It was cool. There wasn't many people there compared to First Blood, I feel. It was a bit empty, but, it was at also a quieter cinema, which coincidentally is nicer and closer to home, so it's a win-win. Anyway, 1960, this is the original Psycho, not the remake shot-for-shot thing or anything else, and it was amazing seeing on the big screen. I have seen it many times on the TV throughout my life, but I'm not quite old enough to have made it to an actual cinema to see it at launch, so I really liked it. I like seeing the 1950s, 60s vibe in the car yard and like all the other things.
Yeah.
That really worked for me.
Nice cars, weren't they?
Yeah.
My gripe though was it was obviously a DVD print, not an original print, and I know that sounds kind of lame, but I don't know, it was too high def for like an old movie for me.
It looked better than fucking First Blood did.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It shouldn't. It should look grainier. Like that part where she's stabbed and she's trying to play dead. It was too high def, so you could see the eye twitching. Where I don't think you'd notice that if it was a little bit grainy. Like,
Yep. No, that's true.
What can I say? I'm English. I've got to complain about something, right?
Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I was saying before that there's something about a good black and white movie. It kind of grabs you in, makes you nice and warm, especially a good old horror movie. And this was exactly that. Sitting in the cinema. Definitely the first time I've seen a 60s movie or a 1960s black and white in the cinema. It's a movie I haven't seen for a long, long time. So a lot of it was a rediscovery for me. And essentially the story was what got me from the start. It had me within 5 minutes, and I'm sure you agree that the black and white aspect, and all those things, you forget about it, and you're just in the story, and that was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely the same. I'm in the same boat as Dad's, where maybe been 20 years since I've seen it. So, if someone says Psycho to me, I remember obviously Anthony Perkins being amazing, the classic shower scene, and the fly scene right at the end where he's like, I want her to fly. But that's all I remembered about the movie. So going back and rewatching it, I forgot the whole first half of the storyline, her motives for stealing the money, which I thought was amazing. I was like, oh yeah, that's how she ended up in the hotel to get them. So I thought that was fantastic, just rediscovering the movie again, because it'd been that long for me. So I'm keen to go back and watch like Rear Window now and Birds, because I haven't seen them for
same.
I get a few more years.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I think that's one thing I've taken from this is I want to go and catch up on some of the Alfred Hitchcock films.
Because you only saw it a couple of years ago, is that right?
Not even, I watched it when we finished watching the TV series at Boast Motel, which was up and down, but it did have some good points. I rewatched the movie as a result and showed our kid, and it was great. Like, it's a Blu-ray, so it's really sharp and it's good. But tonight, it was lesser quality than what I used to, because if you're blowing up a Blu-ray big, it looks shit compared to on the TV. But what it could have been with a print was obviously vastly different. What I liked, you say about the motivation for stealing the money. The thing that occurred to me tonight is that they linked that amount of money to the purchase of a house. So although stealing $40,000 from my brain is, man, that's fuck all. Like, you can't run for $40K.
Yeah.
Establishing that it's exactly enough to buy a really fucking nice house to give to someone means our brain's like, man, I could run with this house worth of money and things.
So in today's, that equate to like $500,000.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still $500,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty nuts.
You could establish yourself in a shitty country for that. So that really helped for me. Her motivations made more sense, getting it associated with that value in that time.
I think the character was such a different sort of character to what I remembered and what I expected. Moral-wise, on the fence. She sort of played it, taunted a little bit. With Bates himself, she was quite dominant. Even though there is that slight twist where she may have decided she wants to backtrack and try and make amends and rectify the situation, but even then I think that maybe it was just a brief little bubble thought and she had no intention. So it did surprise me. I forgot that it was a little bit more twisted in that sense.
And not coming from that era, like the thing with that story, never having been there for it, is I interpret it as the people that movie really impacted would have been the 20 to 40-year-old crowd when it came out in the 60s. So, I mean, a 40-year-old guy then is coming from a completely different world of movie storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So having an almost borderline immoral woman who's your main character, who fucks dudes in her lunch break when she was supposed to be getting back to work, sneaks around and shit, steals money
Cheap
from her boss.
floozy.
Yeah, exactly. Like all these themes, and then adding, you know, that guy, you know, I want to be more of your hold off and just be like kind of your booty call, and she's like, nah, we better officialize this, otherwise I'm such a whore.
I think like Sam was a glutton for punishment because he was already talking about having to pay his alimony, and you know, he's been hoodwinked and done by his ex-wife, and here he was being, well, on one hand being strung along, on the other hand she wanted to be with him, but she was calling the shots.
Yeah, he definitely just wanted the casual thing there. Like, so the whole point of that was, you know, that she listened to everything he's saying about debt, and if only I could pay off my wife and sort out all my shit and all that kind of stuff, life would be aces, and then we could get married, sort of thing. So although he never knew it, he was probably the catalyst for going, if I had that money, there's all your problems solved. You can man up and do it. Yeah, that was cool. I think, like, as far as the quality of the film, my biggest thing was fucking studio shots where it's a projector screen in the background. Like the shots in the.
But that's what makes.
I know, but it just stuck out so much more. There was one shot with a car that was so close up her fucking ass, I was surprised I hadn't hit it. Whereas the one where the cop followed her down the highway and then he pulled off in the other direction, that was really well done. And the distance was really good and her pulling away. But the guy who followed her out of town in the white Christine kind of car, I'm like, fuck, dude, he's full tailgating. Like,
do you notice the private detective, every time he had a shot where he was in his car, the camera would be on like the driver's side, so he always had to get out the passenger side.
Well, she did that too.
Because all the shots were done. So that they could like, oh, sorry, the camera's there. So they're just like, dude, exactly.
Well, even earlier, I think it was either Norman got in the car when he was driving it away to like reposition it to the thing, or maybe when her and Sam, she got out of the car and then Sam sit across the seat and got out her side as well. I'm like, the fuck's with the passenger side? I mentioned to you during the movie, but it would have just been camera location.
Just like your car door just doesn't work. He's just going to climb out and then.
Just has it, man.
Daisy knows.
But what are you guys' thoughts on the cop in the movie? Because that's a character I completely forgot about.
He's great because he saw through her bullshit.
Yeah, but
he was kind of creepy though.
He's way creepy.
It was almost like, is this about a psycho cop?
Yeah.
Literally.
Dun, dun. Maniac cop. So you should review that next.
It really was almost Maniac cop. But she pays for the car cash. She pretty much freaks out the car dealer. Then this psycho cop goes over, but then it didn't really.
It was bad enough when the cop was across the road. It's like, Jesus, man. But when he drives in, gets out and just stands there watching her, like, leaving the new car, like...
But even that makes no sense, because I thought she went in to buy a new car to get away from the cops. So, the cop won't notice my car anymore if I get these proper plates. But then...
I think because she started it before she saw him, so her plan was already halfway through before she realised, oh, God, he's here.
No point stopping.
You won't notice me in this thing. Oh, hey, copper.
But wait, your luggage. Oh.
Yeah, that's classic. But all those little moments, like, you know, from the time when she's trying to leave town, like I said earlier, with her seeing her boss, with the Marcellus Wallace kind of moment, and then the, you know, all the stuff like... that led up to her getting to the hotel really created tension, what she was doing, and almost getting caught in the stress of it and setting up all these little things that could come back and bite her in the ass later. It was very well done.
I still stand by my impression that it is essentially two movies. It's almost like a very lower version of, say, something like Dusk Till Dawn, where the first half is, you know, a thriller, mystery, romance, you know, and then once that initial killing occurs, well, essentially it's trying to catch the serial killer out.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, but I think it was probably the first major example of you being hoodwinked by a third of a movie with this main character who's your character getting killed, and then following the rest of the movie with new characters, or at least one new character. That's unheard of. I mean, obviously Scream did that a million times to like murder their major star in the opening scene of it, but that's where that came from. So many moments and beats about that, and like I said earlier, references to Texas, how they would they killed people near their off the beaten house, and
Dump
they
the
throw the cars,
car,
dump them and all that. Like there's beasts of
Classic.
that, and it's always said apparently that was inspired. That book at least was inspired with the Ed Gein thing, and they attribute that with Psycho and Silence of the Lambs and all the other things that have a vibe like that.
But yeah, I don't remember it being shot so beautifully. There was some really clever camera shots,
Yep.
like where even the opening shot with the city, and then somehow pans all the way into the actual window.
There's a big edit there, but your brain doesn't see it the first time. So I was like,
it's pretty
and then it
seamless.
stops and goes.
Yeah,
Very,
and even
very well
from the
done.
room to the staircase shot, they showed in the mansion a few times with the overhead shot.
Yep.
Like
I think that shot when
they had drones back then. Yeah.
how he sets that up by, like you said, moving the camera and bringing it from top down.
Yeah.
throws your perspective.
Which is
and
exactly
really
how he
plays
did the-
perfect to get that shot away.
Yeah.
Was the detective his name Adagast?
Yeah, Agas.
Yeah, when he got killed, it was that same angle. You saw it from above when he comes out the doorway to stab him. But that tracking shot of him going backwards down the stairs and the camera going with him all the way to the floor.
Yeah,
that's a heaps
great
of
little
shot.
shots.
That's cool.
Very clever.
It was a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Music.
was I bored? But as I thought maybe it's going to be the ideas, better than the actual reality of sitting down and watching Psycho. But it was far better than I
No, it's a very entertaining
music
film.
is
Music's amazing. Like, it's very intense. I don't know heaps about pre-60s movies to know how much that broke ground and was very vastly different the way it was. But that theme has been used by basically every horror movie since, pretty much. It's used orchestral music. Like that's the obviously pinnacle and the benchmark for where it was.
Discussing what Reanimator when we left.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds very similar to the first one. Obviously, Perkins, we have to speak about his performance because he's so likable when they first meet him, and his charisma is so good.
he did play unbalanced perfectly.
Yeah, but he hit it first. Whenever he started, for the most part, at least in the first 2 acts, he hit it perfectly, but then it always started to fall apart the more stressing that conversational situation became. And then obviously by the end he was just completely hostile, and that dude was in his house going, "Why don't you want to talk about your mum, son?"
I'll keep him distracted. What, by give him a 3rd degree and what would you do with $40,000? Where'd you get the money from? I know where you got the money from. I'm going to ask your mum.
Now see here, I'll break your legs.
That's it.
Bates was having a rough 48 hours.
Yeah, just relaxed him.
Suddenly.
It was fucking great when
Came at him hard.
the detective went missing, and he'd only just finished getting rid of the body when the girlfriend and that guy show up, and you hear him blah 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 blah. Sorry, it's just a boyfriend showed up the first time calling out for the guy, and he's still standing in the swamp watching the casting, and he's turn and look like, is it gonna fucking end? That was cool, and I don't think that was meant to be comical, but I
Should've
certainly
turned the
saw it
light
that
off.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No, I don't think there's any big holes. Obviously the big mama finale with the body and all that. I think Norman's just he didn't put up any fight. He acted like a petulant child, like he was having a tantrum. Just being hugged and shit.
theatrical.
Yeah.
pretty awesome,
Considering he was pretty effective earlier, and he took people out. In that moment, he was just jelly limbs.
But it's good when he tackled him and the dress bust open. He kind of was morphing back into himself, becoming that weak boy again. The wig came off, so he became less powerful.
Yes, true.
Yeah, maybe he dragged.
And obviously,
Right in transition.
the last scene is good, but I really appreciated the psychiatrist's massive long monologue to explain the history and the psychosis and exactly what was wrong with Norman. That's a really long scene after a climax sort of moment of the movie, and really drew the whole ending out Lord of the Rings style.
It's ending. It's an end.
Yeah.
Give me a movie with an ending.
Closure.
Yeah, closure.
But how many serial killers, psychos, split personalities had there been before this?
I don't know. I don't think
you have to think not many, if any. So that
And certainly not
monologue at the
acted
end
so
is
well.
really an introduction to psycho.
Well, even their ignorance was, he's a transvestite. It's a little more to it than that, buddy. Let's not go slugging people off just because they dress up. It's all good.
But you're wrong.
Nowhere near, but anyway.
And someone that ignorance working in a cop shop right now going, "It's not really a transvestite."
Yeah, I know. Just
Here's the question. Do you think... obviously it would have been a massive shock and just such a, big, event when it came out. But as far as now as a movie, do you think it plays better not knowing, or plays better knowing and watching Bates unravel? Because we know he's a killer, so I found
you'd
that
always
half the
want to
fun
see
is
that.
watching him,
Yeah.
knowing he's the killer.
I love that, but I mean that's the first that's the beginning of twists. That's the catalyst for Seven and Sixth Sense and all those kind of bomb drops in the story that did it. That Hitchcock had apparently, like as many copies as he had bought in North America, he had the studio and his publicist or whatever buy them all because he wanted the book destroyed while he was making the movie because he didn't want anyone to know what happened. Because they bought, there's a great documentaries on the Blu-ray. Like they bought the rights to the book and obviously to make the movie, and they didn't want it being spoiled. He also changed the way the cinema was done, and the fact that prior to then, people still had the mentality going to the movies like they did back in the olden days, where it's like newsreels and cartoons and short things. So people just walked in and out of the fucking movies all the time, didn't have respect. And he had cardboard cutouts of himself put out the front of all the cinemas. Hitchcock like explaining that if you weren't seated when the movie began, you're not coming in. And then we don't want people going around talking about it. You want to keep the story to yourself and like protect.
No mobile phones.
No fucking spoilers, people. And he started that. So he started the thing of pre-buying tickets and lining up for tickets and lining up at the front of a screening and stuff. That started them. I think that's a cool little thing. Just Hitchcock not only innovating horror and starting an entire just slide of serial killer, like amazing films and stories, he also re-educated the public, or began to, about etiquette and behaviour in the movies.
That's awesome.
They're still his wankers at the movies, no behave themselves. But yeah, that's a cool touch.
And that does give it a bit more gravity now for me, because I guess I haven't really acknowledged that, this could be the very first, if it's close to the very first, serial killer, psycho movie.
Absolutely. And first one that would have taken it seriously and tried to portray the psychological state that he was in without glossing it over, or that he's a crazy person.
Yeah, and how good is it? Like a movie, a 1960 movie called like Psycho has a bigger body count than a like 1980s movie called Rambo.
Yes, because the last movie we reviewed together only had a body count of 1, and now we've doubled it to 2 with Psycho.
So the next movie we watch is 4.
Yeah, we have to try and find a movie that has 3 kills.
Alien's pretty close.
Nah.
2, 3, 4.
What, Nostromo was a crew of 6, was it?
5. I think it's got at least.
Well, Ash doesn't count, he was a robot.
Ash doesn't count.
We'll go over this next week.
Yeah, there we go.
Stay tuned next week when we count how many people.
When we learn maths.
Okay, well, Darren calls 5. I don't have an opinion yet, but
I'm open 4 just so this theory works out.
Alright, 6.
Yeah, 6.
I don't know. I should know, but I don't.
Alien doesn't count. Ash doesn't count.
No.
Well,
No, he doesn't. What about Space Jockey? He was dead.
No, that's
Face hugger?
What about the face hugger when he died?
Facehugger is Alien, man.
Alright, stay tuned. Next one we'll resolve this ridiculous argument. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.
And if you haven't seen Psycho in a long time, revisit it. You'll be glad you did.
And watch Psycho 2. It's actually really good.
Well, there you go.
Cool.
Maybe I will.
See ya.
See you, internet.